All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checker TV, where tonight we have the Area 51 Oval Series here tonight at Texas Motor Speedway. Will be 125 laps tonight at this 1.5 mile oval, and this is the reconfigured version of it where turns 1 and 2 has been reconfigured. A little slower, going to have to woe it down there, try to find the right entry and exit angles, and then probably see these guys full foot to the floor through the 3 and 4 complex, try to build that big draft before they get back into that turn number 1. And we'll say we're quickly working our way through the season. This is race number 10 of 14. So after tonight, we've got 4 to go, and that'll include Pocono Raceway, Phoenix, Kentucky, and Auto Club finishing off the season. So we're getting to that point where, and we had it in the interview last week with Mark Murphy, wanted to win, but said, you know what? I got to think big picture, got to think about points, as right now he has a 58-point lead over Eric Schaus, and then an 80-point lead over Nick DeGroot, 86 over Matt Wagner. And right now that is their best 8 of the 9 starts. So again, the way it works is there's one drop week because life happens. You might miss a race. That way it gives them kind of a mulligan, if you will, as well, if they can make all the races. And also last week it was Edson Santos getting the win over Mark Murphy, Craig getting a podium in third. So we'll see if these guys can continue the trends over here tonight. Talk to drivers, got some fuel numbers, and should be no dramas, a 2-stopper start to finish, but stuff's going to happen. Strategies are going to change, and that's why we're here, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see how it all shakes out. And if not already sneaking in here, we'll have Andrew Wood. He's going to shake off the driver's suit, get back into the booth after a really fun run watching him last night over in the top split at Pocono, getting a runner-up spot over there. So showing these guys you're not just a booth guy. I say you're still wheeling it.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty wild to go from just doing all this commentating and then getting back in the car again. And that race at Pocono last night was one of the wildest races that I've been a part of for the longest time. But that was last night, and here we are tonight back at Texas. Texas, admittedly, is one of my least favorite tracks on here. So if we had been racing at Texas last night, it would have been a pretty wild one for me. So yeah, the reconfigured Texas, kind of like you were mentioning, they reprofiled turn 1 and 2 to be slightly more flat, and it might have killed the racing if you ask the right person or the wrong person, but no matter for these drivers, they're going to set their cars up in such a way that it makes it so that they can race with these guys, and they can race and they can pass and everything like that. So you're going to see a lot of patience with some of these guys, but you're also going to see some pretty bold moves early on, especially people that want to try and unseat Mark Murphy from this run that he's on right now. Guys like Eric Schaus, Nick DeGroot, and even some people that we may not see so much, like Craig Forsyth and Chris Stouffer up towards the podium season spots this season. They're going to definitely be looking to unseat Mark Murphy and see what they could do to kind of put him back a little bit and show that these guys can still win as well.
Yeah, and that's exactly. There's gonna be drivers that they just want to win a race, and then there's those, like you said, like an Eric Schaus and a Nick DeGroot, who are going to add the pressure on to Mark Murphy to see if they can get him to flinch a little bit and maybe try to gain that track position. Although, as I say that, I'm looking through the driver standings, I don't see a Nick DeGroot, so unfortunately that's not going to bode well for the points. So that leaves kind of, in my mind, it's going to be kind of Eric Schaus, Matt Wagner, likely the ones to chase after it here at this point. So, but again, a lot can change over the course of the season. Also got to give a shout out to Belva popping in, one of the diehard fans of a certain number 5, Rick Sanchez. So glad to see you over here. We'll definitely be giving Rick some attention. And one of the things, Andrew, we talk about is kind of the drivers doing multiple types of racing. And Rick is one of those. He just wants to race. And so done a lot of super speedway stuff with us lately. Now he's hopped over to these Indy cars, trying to get familiar with them. And so really love having Rick behind the wheel of these. And I mean, I've seen the progression of just him getting comfortable. So really cool to see, and looking forward to see what he's got here tonight as well. But before we get to that, we got to pull up our starting grid for tonight's event. And it is going to be our last week's winner, Edson Santos, getting the pole position over Mark Murphy, our second place finisher. However, Eric Schaus going to jump Craig Forsyth there for third. Otherwise, 1, 2, 3 last week would have been 1, 2, 3 tonight. Craig Forsyth there, Jim Herrick in the top 5. Then you got Hugo Galaz, Sam Cosner, Casey Putsky, Joe Branch, and Eric Peterson are top 10. In 11th, you have Daniel Durazo, Rafael Eckert, and I can tell you Rafael's very excited. Sounds like he's got his wheel. It sounds like, I think, replaced or upgraded, and so he was saying no more disconnects for him, so he's very excited to be back here as well. Good to have him. He's going to be one for me to watch on the long run. Then in 13th, Matt Wagner, Frank Irwin Jr., Christopher Beck. Love to have him back in the field. And then we mentioned just Rick Sanchez there, Nick Wheeler, Jeff Heisong, and Joseph Morales.
I think it's really nice to see Christopher back. He's had a couple weeks off here to deal with some personal stuff, so I think he is a great Texas racer, actually. From my previous experiences racing around here, I think Stouffer is going to try and race that high line, which we've grown very much accustomed to seeing him doing. So he didn't have the greatest qualifying, but this is actually just makes it a lot easier to kind of watch him race that high line and come from the back.
And you mentioned on the get-go there, the drivers that are going to be going after it right off the kick. And as soon as you said that, it's like, yeah, Christopher's one that I'll be watching to make that happen. It's because he's not one to ride. He wants to get up front. He wants to make moves. And again, we're in a situation tonight where there is no field drama for making it on a two-stop race. Again, if we go green, what'll happen is there'll be a caution that just puts it right into a certain window. But that's part of racing. If it happens, it happens. So field's starting to roll out of pit road. You can see everybody rolling out there. And then we will get this thing underway after this warm-up lap is completed. As you see,
I want to mention...
Yep, go, sir.
Sorry, I was just going to mention that the last time Edson Santos got pole position, we saw what happened there. So momentum is everything in these cars, right? So Edson Santos being on pole position again may mean trouble for the rest of this field. And I spoke to Mark Murphy a little bit about his championship chances over the last week or so, and at this point, Murphy is not going for a win. He knew he made that mistake at Las Vegas. So at this point, he just wants to finish on the podium. If he has to give up a race win in order to keep his championship lead, he's going to do that. And again, it's very easy for everyone to say that when they're in the moment, but when they knock the visor down and start racing, things can kind of change. So we'll have to see, and we'll watch Mark Murphy's behavior as the race goes on, and if he really goes for the race win or if he really is point racing from here on out, because that will definitely matter, especially since he's at the front.
Yeah, and I'm a little skeptical about, like you said, because the thing is too, if you start rolling way too far back and taking it too cautiously, you wind up kind of getting out of your rhythm and what's got you to that point. So he's going to have to find the right balance for it, but we're about to find out. It's just, unfortunately, I also saw a little bit of a blink out of him there. However, we're about to see the field here take the green flag, waiting for the flag to fly. And it is going to be Edson Santos leading the field to the green flag as we are underway here. Again, 125 laps will be the race distance as they head into turn 1.
Yeah, I'm going to watch Greg Forsyth as well, because he's had a bit of a rough run lately. He's been collected in some incidents starting from the Indy race back a few weeks ago. It's not really gone well for him, and I think he's been on the wrong side of the strategy as well. So if anyone's going to be hungry for a win around here, Craig back there in fourth place is definitely going to be up for it. We have a caution middle of the field here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and it's Eric Peterson. And, yeah, that's a broken left front for him. Saw Joseph Morales. I think he's okay. So we'll check to see what happened to Peterson here. Because actually Eric was, top 10 in qualifying. So not what we want to see there.
I think it was a netcode there, actually, Gael. We saw some netcode incidents since we talked about the race last night at Pocono. But unfortunately, it's gonna be something that really wasn't anyone's fault.
You see Matt Wagner underneath him. And, yeah, definitely some, yeah. I don't think there was contact if not for that netcode. And right there, too, you can see even it breaking the left front wheel there. So, unfortunately, he was going to hit the wall pretty solid there, unfortunately. But, yeah, that was a really bad netcode situation, and the thing is, it wasn't even with drivers that were, like, again, we talked about kind of the international drivers that we have, but there was nothing there. Matt Wagner, Eric Peterson, I say they're not far distance from the server. So, unfortunately, Peterson is going to have to hit pit road, get that fast pair right off the kick. I'm guessing Matt Wagner just, one, going to double check the car, and two, probably going to do some admin stuff and double check, like, what happened there. would be my guess. Although I just saw, I know we have to see too. I don't know 100% sure if there is a tire limit or not. Usually, I believe there is. I just saw a couple cars pop up there on the jacks, which to me means tires going on. So they gotta be careful not to accidentally burn those as well. You see Jeff Heisong, the first one, rolling out of pit road. And so he wanted to update that paint scheme. He's got lots of snacks on it. Heard some rumors of a pregnant wife having some cravings, and so I think he's decided he's had some bad luck in the other paint scheme. He's like, you know what, I'm gonna go for the craving mobile.
That's so wild. I like that storyline actually. That's something to follow for the for the rest of the race.
Yeah, we'll see. I'd say maybe the potentially bad luck scheme, and then yes, they get the good juju from the wife. So it'll be fun to see if that pans out or not. So. Unfortunately, early yellow there. Not a lot of change, obviously. We did have a few drivers that definitely jumped up a fair number of spots. I think just from the pit stops and then, of course, from the contact. The aforementioned Christopher up 4 spots right behind him. Nick Wheeler now up 5 spots. And then Joseph Morales as well up 4 spots in the 60. However, like I mentioned in the chat, we had a Rick Sanchez fan. There's Rick. He is in that green and black kind of, I don't know if you want to call it camo or not, but he's got a lot of Area 51 stuff on it, so always love Rick. He's always doing something to support the team and the league, and so definitely appreciate him. He's always been a fun one to race with and to chat with. So, but one to go here, Andrew. A couple drivers topping off once more. That's going to be Joseph Morales and Jeff Heisong. But again, this won't do anything to change the 2-stop strategy. It's just going to go and, yeah, it's going to go ahead and at this point probably just maybe go a little further. And then one of my other broadcasters, Brandon Briggs, he's popped in here and saying iRacing's fixed the netcode ASAP because his pick is already causing some chaos, which is our boy Matt Wagner, that 6 car.
Yeah, I had to kind of back up with what Brandon says there because I've been watching some races lately and there's been some very, very bizarre netcode incidents, including one that I was in last night at Pocono, since we talked about it a few times. I wrecked my teammate Jason Brophy, and you could definitely fit one whole Indycar in between the two of us. So definitely something that seems to be kind of falling apart here. But once you have a series or a program such as this that has such close racing and you update it so frequently, some stuff kind of gets a little bit put by the wayside. So I feel like once we get the next update, which should be next week actually, or the week after.
It's coming up, yeah.
I think they'll fix a lot of this stuff. So hopefully we'll see an end to this. We're going green now, and looks like everyone's kind of getting started pretty well. I wanted to mention during that restart sequence that Rafael Eckert, he took tires there, and he's someone that we always like to watch for tire life. So if he's put some tires on 2 or 3 laps later than everyone else, that might actually bode well for him in terms of saving tires and picking up spots in the process. And I don't really think he lost too much while doing that as well.
Yeah, no, and you're right. He's always one that I've kind of got my mark on. You see right there, Christopher just barely clipping the grass trying to jump around. Casey Putsky going to grab another spot in that number 13 car up into 9th now. So like I said, he's not going to waste any time. That time went low. And I was going to bring this up to you as well, Andrew. With this reconfiguration, how do you approach this track, trying to make moves on these guys? Just the way this track is formed where, like I said, I believe 3 and 4, even in the dirty air, probably can run this thing flat foot. Are you just kind of trying to set up the momentum out of 4 to get all you can to then kind of get that position into 1? Or how do you approach this? As you see, actually, speaking of, it's like some good battles here with Hugo Galaz there, Joe Branch, Christopher now jumped in the mix. Jim Herrick was right there too.
Yeah, actually, Jim Herrick, I think, realized he was rushing into turn 1 and kind of just stopped in the middle of the track, actually. I was watching on board with him, and he got swamped by everyone, swarmed by everyone, so it kind of caused a bit of a frenzy with Joe Branch, Galaz, and those guys around. But yeah, to answer your question, Guy, this is going to sound so boring, and I really wish I had a better answer, but Texas is all about clean air. You could take low line, high line, just make sure you take a line that there's nobody following you, because any line you take here where you're following and in the dirty air, it really doesn't turn out so well for you. So it's really the boring answer. I wish I had a more technical thing to say, but that's something that really plagues me personally at Texas, is that whenever you have to try and choose where somebody isn't, that's where you get yourself into trouble. And unfortunately, I seem to have the worst luck with that a lot of the time. So on one side of the track, you're definitely chasing the weight jacker. trying to get the car to rotate a little bit more, maybe playing with the front bar or the rear bar, mostly the front bar if you're trying to get a little bit more turn and try and find that clean air a little bit lower than someone. But really it's about trying to find weight jacker settings that work at both sides of the track, and then as the tires start to wear, they begin to equalize based on the setup. But I would imagine a setup like this, eventually they're going to equalize. So you're going to be playing around with both sides of the track, and then eventually you're going to kind of equalize to a similar weight jacker setting for both sides of the track.
Yeah, I had a couple of close calls there while we are going over that. I saw there Mark Murphy got by Eric Schaus. It looked like Eric almost had to kind of jump up the track a little bit to make sure, like I said, maybe with the net code fears, to make sure no contact there. And then he had to fight Craig Forsyth off as well. Now they've regrouped, and we talked about Mark Murphy, how aggressive or cautious is he going to be. And I think right now he's kind of gone back to the same thing, doing what he did to get to this point in the points lead. Look at the defense there by Edson, though. Mark almost able to do the crossover there, but Edson saw it coming. He's like, no, I need to keep this bottom lane here. But right now, Mark's looking really stout on that second lane. And like I said, let's say unfortunately a little bit of a netcode situation, or not netcode, but a little bit of connection issue where he disappeared there for a slight bit there. But the car that I've been watching, again, we've talked about him a bunch already, is Chris Stouffer. He is up 10 spots, and he is closing this gap, and quickly. Like you mentioned, and saying right now it hasn't been the rim riding yet, but is that, like you said, is that maybe just a clean air? And now as he approaches these guys, does he make some adjustments?
It's definitely one car you always want to watch that climbs to the field is Chris Stouffer. And these 1.5 mile ovals, no matter what the configuration is, a Las Vegas or a Kansas or a Vegas or something even like a Texas, you can count on him to be someone that finds a little bit of an edge. And he might ride the car a little bit more loose and something a little more dangerous to pick up a few spots, but it's definitely fun to watch. A little farther back in the field, we were talking about Rick Sanchez a little bit, and he was in a great battle with Eric Peterson before. Eric Peterson's actually looking to climb a bunch more spots now. He's in a nice four-way battle there. Left Rick Sanchez behind a little bit, but they had a really nice swapping battle before. So good on Rick Sanchez to have a little side-by-side battle with some fans watching tonight. And hopefully Rick can find a few more spots. I wonder if he picked up a little damage on the earlier incident as he just tags the wall there again.
So I'm jumping back up front because we have a hornet's nest at the pack now. You've got pretty much 2x2 with the 69 and the 20. You got the 13 72. 13 out just clears Eric Schaus in the 72. But man, Chris Stouffer, he's not done yet. But now you kind of hit that wall of clean air in front of you. And now he's got to try to figure out where do you put this car and try to find a way around. You can see, again, he's going to roll that thing up top like you talked about pre-race where he likes to be. But the problem is there's a car in front of him on either lane he tries to take. So short of a very aggressive move, I mean, what does Chris try to do here?
Well, actually, I was going to mention that being on the lower side where Eric Schaus was is the preferable place to be early on in the stint because you can kind of navigate exactly where you want to place your car if you want to try and push towards second place and box out fourth place, or if you want to try and got very close there.
Ooh, yeah, I think the 88 may have, or sorry, 00 may have just kissed the wall.
Just kissed it, yeah. So you kind of want to be on the inside where you can dictate it, but once those tires start to go off, you want to be more in Chris Stouffer's spot where you can already have found where the clean air is and try and move your car there. Whereas if you were kind of on the inside before, then you're really trying to find it later on. We're getting later on in the stint now. We're almost a little past third of the way through the stint. So I think the outside line is going to start to prevail eventually. So if you're Stouffer, you're just going to kind of keep doing what you're doing and just measure your competition and watch both lines. Watch the inside, watch the outside, and see what kind of things they are doing in terms of getting through the corner. And then you'll be able to be ready for when your car is in the same situation.
As they see, looks like, I believe Chris is going to, yep, there he goes. He's going to clear Mark Murphy. And I was going to mention, too, when Mark talked about not wanting to take too many chances, too many risks, drivers are going to know about that. And they're going to like, okay, well, I know I can maybe push the issue a little bit. Of course, I mean, not to some dangerous approach, because, again, these guys race with each other week in, week out. There's a lot of respect with one another. But at the same time, again, on the competitive side of things, it's like, well, I might be able to get away with a little bit more. If I squeeze him a little harder, he might roll out of it. And so we might see some of that as well. But now Chris is with Edson where Mark was before. Mark couldn't find a way to get around. again, we talked about just obviously the shorter distance, and then obviously now everybody's hitting the same wall of air up in that front 2 lanes. Is there something that you can do differently right there? Again, you see Edson has a big draft off the top there. Oh, Chris is going to force the issue there. Oh, is he? And there's the netco. There's a contact. Edson's going to catch the wall there. Caution is out. And it was just both drivers not really wanting to give there early. And unfortunately, 20 got a good piece of that one. Possibly damage for the 13 as well. Saw it kind of happening there down the backstretch, and just that's tough.
I have a lot of thoughts. I don't even know where to start there. I saw that incident happening a mile away, Gael. So Edson has done a magnificent job keeping the white line, and as a racer, when you're in second place, third place, and you see somebody that's able to peg himself down there, you're going to take any advantage humanly possible to try and take that spot. And Stouffer did everything to 97% perfection. As soon as I saw the line that Stouffer did, he kind of held off into turn 1 and then kind of let go in the middle of turn 1 and 2 and then kind of swung low. I knew exactly he was going to try and go for that low line. And if you're any IndyCar fans remember, this is the same incident that the Colton Herta and Scott Dixon incident was from, I think it was 2021, where tried to time it very, very deep at the bottom of turn 3. And unfortunately, there was a little bit of an apron touching there, and it took both of them out of the race. In this case, that was almost the same exact incident, but Edson had a little bit of a nose ahead, and unfortunately, Stouffer just tagged him a little bit there. So I saw that incident coming a mile away. I thought Stouffer was actually going to pull it off, but if these cars are feeling a little bit tight on the entry to 3, you're always going to pop up the track a little bit. So if Edson's trying to block down there, he's leaving himself vulnerable to an incident. So very unfortunate for them, but let's see what the admins think of this situation here.
Yeah, and like I said, unfortunately, Edson for sure getting the worst of it. And looking back at it as well, I'll back it up one more time. Drivers just made their pit stops, but I think Edson saw as like, okay, this isn't going to work, and tried to react to it. However, with Stouffer entering so shallow, like we just talked about, so try to get a better shot here. You can already see his left front tire there's just underneath the apron. And so what that does is right here you can see it's going to step out on him. And then right there, he's trying to catch it. And unfortunately, that just drifts him up. And again, a little bit of net code, I think, probably contact regardless. But unfortunately, a little bit of net code between the two of them. And so that's where the contact happened. That's what brings out the yellow. So with that, I'm still showing Edson in the pits. Not sure if he maybe either had to tow. But yeah, that's a tough one. You never want that situation to happen. But go ahead.
No, what I was going to say is that when someone is holding the white line like that, it really almost turns into a situation where you have to put your car at risk to take the lead, because Edson was holding that bottom line so nicely for so many laps. And if you're riding on the outside for so long and you're trying to pinch low to try and wear out the right side tires, any sort of advantage you can get where you say, okay, my car will fit down here, that's exactly what you're going to go for. And being a racer in these situations for so many times where you're saying, okay, well, I just got to get the pole and hold the white line for the whole race and I'll win. It's good for you if you're doing it, but for everybody else, they're trying to find any sort of advantage that they can, where a little bit of a gap may pay off there. And I think Stouffer did that to like I said, 97% perfection. If he didn't touch the apron there and drift up the track a little bit, I think he may have scared Edson off the line, and then we might have been in a different situation.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on. Like I said, it looked like it was just about perfect, but yeah, just unfortunate one little mistake cost Edson. And so right now I'm showing him, I believe, 2 laps down. He is back out on track now. He's at the back of the field. Also need to, we'll definitely take a look over here shortly with Nick Wheeler in the 88 car right now. Speaking of the 88 car, plus 8 spots. Not up to 8th, but up to 9th, unfortunately. Almost had the perfect 8s there. As we get back through green, Mark Murphy leads the way now through the pit stop cycle, jumps to the front. No strategies. Everybody looks like 4 tires and fuel. Does look like Joseph Morales did come 1 lap later to top off. And we're restarting right at 100 laps to go. So again, talked about 40. I was hearing about 45 laps, no problem. So we're in a potential spot here, Andrew. Can anybody maybe stretch an extra 5 laps and try to pull a 51 stopper out of this?
I'm not sure if that's possible because this is kind of a different, a different sort of feel than like a super speedway where you can really lift behind the other cars. There's a lot of push, there's a lot of understeer, so trying to just stay behind someone and save a lot of fuel compared to a place like Michigan or even Indianapolis or something like that. Everyone's kind of trying to find clean air, and you need to be in the draft and doing a lot of lifting in order to save the fuel. So it's possible that someone saves a lap, maybe 2 laps, but saving 5 laps to do 2 50-lap stints does not seem possible to me.
Look like a little bit of just a scuff possibly for that 99 there. Craig Forsyth out of 2. We're going to jump back a couple spots. We were just talking about Nick Wheeler there. He is in that vote of 88. And Shank, miss you on track. Hope you're doing well, sir, but appreciate you hopping on to the broadcast and cheering on Nick there. Definitely look forward to hopefully having you back out on track here soon. But we'll jump back up front because Chris Stover is going to kind of go back to where he was earlier, try to chase these guys back down. Got around Craig, got around Eric. Now has his sights set once more here on Mark Murphy. And we'll see again for Mark here. He's got a lap lead. He's got that bonus point, probably looking for that. Now we'll see, does he want to hold on to that lead, or again, maybe just tries to now ride and save a little bit of fuel, maybe not for a one stopper, but just go a little bit longer than Stouffer. And I think that's exactly what we see. I don't think that the 69 car is putting up too big of a fight here. I think he's going to let him go by and then kind of just settle in. Although, as I say that, he gets back by around him.
Actually, I think Stouffer kind of missed the entry to turn 3 there, which kind of caused that. But you saw Murphy was kind of trying to just lift it and stay on that bottom line and almost give Stouffer a shot at taking the lead. Yep, it looks like Murphy said, okay, I saw what you did last time. I'm going to just go down here and save that spot there. But, yeah, one thing I wanted to mention there is that to Stouffer and Santos incident there, that's to Mark Murphy's benefit. It puts him in a spot where maybe he didn't think he'd wind up being if he was just trying to take it easy around Edson and anyone else that got by him. So Murphy finds himself in the lead, and the rest of these guys don't like to see the championship leader that's kind of dominant just running away with this. So I think Stouffer is going to really try and push it. And if he really tries to push on Murphy, I really highly doubt that Murphy's going to try and give it up. But Eric Schaus and Joe Branch right behind are definitely hungry for wins. They've had good runs all season, and I'm sure that both of them really, really want to try and get up there and contend.
Yeah, it would be really nice to see. Like I said, Joe Branch, he's had so much pace. It's just the luck has not been there for him in that 28 car. And so you can see right there, he wanted to jump top. Eric said, no, I want to jump top. So, all right, fine, I'll take the bottom then, as they've been kind of jumping around for a position. Joe right now up about 5-6 spots from where he started as well, so great job by him early on. And then again, right now, kind of not watching too closely, but keeping in that eye, because again, we haven't had that really long run. But again, we talked about Rafael Eckert kind of being Mr. Long Run, Mr. Tire Saver, if you will. So I'll want to see if we get that longer run and how things go. But right now, once again here, we've got the top, looks like 6 cars now right on top of each other, basically right under this blanket. As, oh man, again, look at Murphy and Stouffer there. I think we got our answer. Murphy is not going to roll that easily here. Like I said, if it's a situation like we saw earlier, yeah, he'll probably roll out of that, but he's definitely not going to just give the red carpet treatment.
Well, I don't want to bring up too many conspiracies here, but when the Indy Elite Series race here, Murphy and Stouffer did have an incident at Texas on the back straightaway that involved a little bit of netcode. So just to give a little bit of a storyline that there may be something going through both of their heads. That one, unfortunately, was Murphy and Stouffer's situation with the incident, if you want to compare it to Santos. So these two guys have a little bit of a history here in another series, and it didn't turn out so good for them. So that might be why Murphy is really trying to stamp himself on the bottom line there, but Stouffer doesn't want to let it go so easily. If they're running side by side, I think Stouffer could keep it a little bit tighter in 3 and 4 if he wants to try and get some sort of run going, because I think he has a much better advantage entering turn 1. But Murphy definitely has the run through 3 and 4, and I think the bottom is just the way to go in 3 and 4, no matter what tools you're running in this car.
Yeah, right now it definitely seems like and it's not even a momentum thing. It's just he's just rotating really well too. A lot of times you'll feel like you run that second or third lane, you can kind of just build that speed up on exit, but not really seeing it. Mark's done a great job of keeping that speed up on the exit as well. So yeah, so right now, like I said, they're still kind of right here with one another. And again, I mean, now it's actually, you've got the whole top 10 now pretty much within maybe a second or two of one another. And then Nick Wheeler not too far back. But I'm going to jump a little further back because kind of a quiet night so far. Again, maybe it was that the earlier incident with the net code with he and Eric Peterson. But I'm wondering if Matt Wagner just maybe not got in his full rhythm, if you will, yet. I feel like sometimes when you have that situation happen, it kind of throws you off your game a little bit. It's hard for some drivers to kind of put that back in your mind. Okay, that happened. Let's move forward. So yeah, right now, kind of a quiet start for Matt right now. Started 13th, running 13th. So I expect to see him gain some spots here sooner than later.
I just watched Joe Branch and Daniel Durazo side by side in turn 3 and 4, and Branch started to push up the track a tiny bit, and he had to super lift out of it. And now Branch has lost the spot to Craig Forsyth and losing a spot now to Eckert as well. And Eckert, remember, he just on lap 2.
Oh, caution's out. I was about to say, I was just talking about Eckert, and then all of a sudden he just started flying up to their field. Oh, Jim Herrick, severe damage to that thing. Same thing, he's going to try to see if he can find a way to roll this thing back out there, and he might be able to. We'll see. That thing's trying, but I think he might be. There's the toe. So let's see what happened for Jim Herrick here. He was in the 15th or so spot. So right now he's... Oh, I'm wondering if this is a turn 2 jumping out, or is... Oh, no, actually, look at this. This just steps out on him here on exit turn 2.
Man, this is like my Texas PTSD nightmare, Gael. I've had this happen to me so many times, and this is the reason I do not like this track, because you feel like the car is good, it's good, lap after lap, then suddenly you go to the exit of turn 2 and your car is spinning out of nowhere, and what can you do to save it? Absolutely nothing. So I hate to see that for Jim, but I also kind of just have a lot of nostalgia of all this times that's happened to me as well. So unfortunate for Jim there.
It's one of it's you hate it for them. But it's like, well, I guess at least I'm not the only one. And do need to mention, importantly for Edson, that's going to give him one of those 2 laps back. So he's going to be now the first car and the only car, 1 down. Here comes the race off of pit road, and I think Mark's going to hang on to it with that starting position he's got. And then it's going to be Eric Schaus actually jumping out in second. Then Christopher back in third. So again, he's going to have to gain a few more spots once more on the restart. But then Daniel Durazo, you were just talking about him. He's now cracked the top 5 there right at the time of the yellow. Now he's up into 4th ahead of Craig Forsyth. And then we just talked about Eckert there as the caution came out. He was a few more spots back there, and then within that couple laps that we were watching some of the other battles, all of a sudden he popped right up into the fray. So I think he's starting to, same thing, kind of dial it up a little bit in that 064.
We got time to check out that almost incident with Branch and Durazo. I think we got another lap till green. I thought that one was going to be another caution going through turn 3 and 4 there.
Yeah, let me see if we can find it real quick. Find Branch and Durazo here. So it's one of those things where I got to catch it in time.
Yeah, a lap before the caution there.
Here we go. I think this is going to be... So this is that battle with Branch and Durazo. We'll back it down here. We'll focus on...
It'll be in turn 3 and 4.
Okay, so we'll pick it up speed here. So again, we're focusing on Joe Branch. Oh man, that's a crash that didn't happen, but very close. Yeah,
it looked like they're
look at the momentum shift. Yeah. Oof, that's and like you said, with the net code we've seen already tonight, that's one of those ones where probably both drivers breathing a sigh of relief there.
Yeah, I mean Branch lost a couple spots there, but luckily for him, the next lap there was a caution, and it kind of resets everything again. So maybe Branch can reset his strategy there and push forward and see how he could pick those spots back up again, because he was able to clearly get up to the top 4 or 5 in the last stint there. So I think he could probably do it again. But yeah, very, very lucky that there was no contact there. I was almost ready for there to be an incident there.
And then looking at, again, talked about the fuel mileage. this caution throws that back out of the window because now we're going to restart with 81 laps to go, which means that these guys can go about 40, 41 laps per tank, and they'll be good to go to the end. So also do need to mention on this one as well, Andrew, haven't talked about it yet, track temp, 117 degrees, track time showing about 1:25 p.m., so
Toasty.
It is warm. So, yeah, so that's also going to play a role in how these things handle. But you can see Mark Murphy bringing the field to that restart zone, going a little later than maybe others would expect. But right now, still, again, so far so good all the way through the field. Always talk about that potential accordion restart, but everybody's done a great job here. And so now he's going to lead the field into turn number 1 and 2. We'll see, can Eric now build some momentum? Again, these are the top 2 in the points, so Eric's definitely got some big incentive to try to jump that 69 car here if he can.
I think Eric is probably the guy to do something a little wild, especially because he's been the one boxed down the inside for most of this run going in the last 20, 30 laps or so. So he's going to have to take what he's learned in the last little bit there and see if he can apply it in such a way that he can maybe do something a little different than Stouffer did to try and get that lead back. And I really do think, if I believe what Mark Murphy says, if someone really gets a run and a flying run on the outside, Murphy's going to say, okay, go for it. I'm racing for points. But we have a lot of time for this race to unfold to see if that's really the case.
Yeah, exactly right. And it's saying, as we say that, Stouffer's starting to just edge back up onto Eric Schaus here. Again, not quite there, but again, Craig flirting with the wall out of turn 2. May have actually caught it this time because he's actually given up that spot to Eckert now.
Yeah, if anything, he definitely had a huge lift at some point because, yeah, he was down about 8 or 9 miles an hour slower than everyone behind him. So yeah, he lost a spot there, and yep, Joe Branch is ready to pick up another spot here and see what he could do to get himself back up into the top 5 mix as well.
Yeah, here's that battle for that second and third spot. It looked like for a moment the pass was done, but Schaus was able to keep the momentum on top. So now we continue this fight for these top 3 again, just right on top of one another. But we're going to add a new player to this mix here soon who hasn't really been in the front kind of 3 or 4, and that's going to be Daniel Durazo in that 2 car. And we've seen, again, same thing for him. A lot of pace in all the races he's been in, just hasn't had the luck. So we'll see if maybe tonight is the night it turns around. But Stouffer's somehow found a way, or maybe a little bit of contact there possibly. The way Murphy's car kind of jutted to the left a teeny bit there and went through the grass. I'm almost wondering if there's, in that move of Stouffer trying to get from the bottom lane to the second lane, maybe he just caught Mark Murphy, and that's one of those things where that's definitely a scary moment there.
I think we've all been in that situation where we're kind of just boxed in third place there. We got someone on the outside, someone right ahead, and it's like, how do I find a way by and try and push my way through? And I think Stouffer did that to, I wouldn't say perfection, but in such a way where he said, I'm here, I want to leave this race right now. I have to figure out a way to do so. And he's not really in a championship way right now because he's missed a couple races, but Schaus is definitely in a championship mode right now where he says, you know what, go for it. I'll just sit here and maybe collect some points, and if you can find a way through, perhaps you could drag me along with you.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. It's getting that last position is definitely the hardest place to do so. So right now, like you see, Stouffer is doing all he can to try to unseat Murphy up top. And again, we haven't quite got to that point where we can maybe get that green flag pit stop in tonight. So again, that window, I was hearing about roughly 45 laps on that full rich run. So these guys can, same thing, pit at around lap 42. So we should see them in, I would say, about, lap 90? Ooh, a couple guys
92, there. Somewhere in the 92 to 95 range is what I guess.
Yeah,
I did the math out on my screen.
So yeah, so we'll see. And again, because I get nervous about the concept of short pitting again. With we've seen some yellows tonight, and we've seen the way these things are driving. You see now, look at these guys; they're spreading way out top there. I saw Craig there. We saw Eric Schaus. Daniel Durazo's running as high as he can too. But right now, turn 2 seems to be where things are happening. Like I said, these guys are just starting to really drift out, unfortunately, and sometimes either catching the wall or at times just maybe just kind of scaring it a little bit. But then you see the other side of things, like I think with Jim Herrick, where probably was adjusting to try to keep that push out of it, got too loose, and unfortunately just maybe too much weight jack. As they say, that a couple there caught it, both of them. I think it was Durazo and Ecker that may have both caught that with a decent amount of hit.
I was just, after you were finished speaking, I was going to talk about saving the right side tires, because once the run starts to go on, turn 1 and 2 especially is going to be huge load on the right side tires. And I'm looking where Joe Branch is racing right now. He's really going down to the white line every time, finding the clean air for all 4 cars that are ahead of him that are pushing up the track. And if you're lowering the acceleration, you're lowering the load on the right side tire. So Joe Branch is playing a long game right now, where he knows that the guys are really pushing ahead of him, and then if the time is right and he can find the clean air to go later on in the stint, it may actually pay off for him. So I like what Joe Branch is doing right now. He can't do anything to pass 5 cars ahead of him, because they all have a lot of right side load right now, but it may pay off later on, where he may be able to find some clean air and maybe sneak away past 2-3 cars and get himself in a better spot right before the pit stop.
Yeah, so we're going to jump again while you were chatting. We're looking at that turn 2 exit. We watched that one before. We'll watch it here again. And again, you can see everybody's minding their P's and Q's a little bit better. Daniel Durazo definitely got a little tight. There was one really tight there in exit. I think that may have been Joseph Morales. But, I mean, that's also, it kind of shows at pace. I mean, these guys are flying through the turns. And here comes, again, Christopher trying to get Mark Murphy. Eric Schau's trying to find somewhere to get that clean air, maybe try to stick his nose in there too. But again, just nothing done yet. Oh, 3 cars there close to the exit of 2. But again, everybody able to stay off of it for the moment.
I want to mention Matt Wagner had an incident with Hugh Galaz a few laps ago. They had a little bit of a coming together moment coming into turn 1, where Wagner kind of smacked Galaz into the outside wall, and I think Galaz might be damaged a little bit right now, but Wagner, he was trying to let him back by again, and there was a bit of a miscommunication there. So Wagner's night goes from bad to worse.
Yeah, sometimes you just have those nights. Oh, Joseph Morales, that was a big shot there out of turn 2. We talked about him flirting with it just a little bit earlier, and that was one of those ones where he could have easily thrown that car to the inside wall, but same thing, able to hang on to it. And again, I'm just this lead pack. I haven't done a great job, I feel like, of running through the field, but I mean, we've got this top 7 in just this hornet's nest right now. And do need to mention...
I was going to say, take a look at these lines every lap that these guys are running. Like, it's so wild. You got guys that are, like, riding the outside all the way around turn 1, and then when they get to turn 2, they're just kind of all over the place, and no one really kind of knows where they are. And look at Joe Branch right now. His tire-saving run may come to fruition here as he gets by Craig Forsyth. Rafael Eckert is literally against the wall from entering turn 1 all the way going around, and look at Branch. He makes another spot right there. So what he was doing before and lifting and kind of taking the load off the tires is starting to pay off now. And I wonder how it's going to work out with Eckert here, with Eckert kind of riding the wall all the way around.
And we got an early pit stop, like you mentioned, Matt Wagner. That contact may have given that car some damage, or he's just thinking, no, I got to get off just this set of tires or do something different. So unfortunately, he's going to have an early pit stop. That's going to drop him at least 1 lap down here in that number 6. So we'll keep an eye on him up front. Still continues to be this battle here with these top 3 just across the halfway point of this race. We're going to jump around a little bit, though. Haven't had a chance to talk about everybody yet. Sam Cosner in that 00 started in 7th, currently running in 8th, right behind Craig Forsyth. Talked about Peterson with his earlier incidents, able to take that fast pair, still in that top 10, so good recovery still for him as we continue on. Mentioned Rick Sanchez again, just trying to kind of come to grips with these Indy cars, and again, he's come a long way with these guys right now, up 3 spots to 13th. Frank Irwin Jr. there in 14th, right where he started. And then Joseph Morales, Jeff Heisong. Again, some of these guys, they kind of pitted a little bit later, and then also I think topped off for Jeff. So Jeff might be just trying to run really long on this one just to see if maybe catch that timely yellow. So I think Jeff's maybe doing a little bit of strategy play in that number 18. But yeah, right now, though, again, this battle up front, though, these top 3 just... And they, oh my goodness, look at Rafael, like you said. I mean, that's rim riding it at this point here.
And Joe Branch is right behind him and running the white line all the way around and doing a lot of lifting. So the rim riding is working for now, but it's going to come to a point where it's not going to work anymore. You're going to burn the whole right front tire off and probably going to lose that spot.
Yeah, and there goes. I mean, look at this. You get into turn 1. At this point, Joe doesn't even, well, from where we're sitting, you don't even see Rafael. Then he pops back out, But I mean, you can see right there, look at the exit he does get out of turn number 2. Now let's do the same thing here with Rafael. We'll watch from his onboard, his turn 1 and 2, and just again watch how high he swings this car up top there. I mean, I've seen drivers do this before, but I mean, this is, man, that's pretty much every inch that you've got there working with. If we had the right side, it would look even more terrifying.
Daniel Durazo might have touched the wall on the exit of 2 there. Tough to tell, but yeah, you can definitely tell that it looks like it's kind of still working for Eckert right now, because he's right up there at the top 3, and Branch kind of has fallen back a little bit. But I think in the long run, as you get to the last 10, 12 laps of the stint, I think the way that Branch is doing it is the right way to go. And I mean, he's searching for clean air no matter what it is. As long as he's maximizing his entry, his middle, and his exit, I think it'll pay off longer in the stint, especially when these tires die up front. I think he might be kind of missing a little bit of the entry right now, because it's kind of hurting his exit speed a little bit. Or either that, or he's just kind of trying to slow down altogether, trying to really save the life of the tire. And then maybe later on, he'll do the same line Eckert's doing. Eckert's now seemed to actually get by someone here. He's in 3rd place by Schaus. And let's see if his high line works to go for the lead.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see because, yeah, now Stouffer's going to have to kind of watch both lanes here. Keep an eye on both mirrors. Ooh, that looked like a little bit of a push there out of 2. And you can see, yeah, immediately he jumps straight to pick up that draft now there of Mark Murphy, because I think he's watching his mirror now, because if he slips up, Rafael's going to try to pounce on him. So he's kind of stuck between that rock and a hard place, if you will. And there goes Eckert. He's looking middle, and you can see, oh, there's the contact. That's going to send Eckert up and around somehow. I don't know how, but that number
was a strange
13
one.
able to hang on to it. I think he went for the middle and just, I mean, there was room for it, just didn't quite work out. So caution comes out, and Stouffer survives that one. And once again here, the timing of this yellow, it's going to be very interesting on the fuel match side of things. And I do believe, though, this will benefit Edson to get him back on the lead lap. Unfortunately, mentioned the unscheduled stop for Matt Wagner. I think he'll have to take the wave around. But let's go back one more time. I'll watch this battle here, because again, I mean, Eckert was going for it. There's no questioning there.
I think Eckert unfortunately couldn't decide if he wanted to go middle or high, and he kind of hesitated. And if you hesitate in between 2 cars, you're going to hit one of them at the end of the day.
Yeah, and you can see right there already. And so I think we'll actually probably get our best view. We're going to hop on board here with Eric Schaus from behind these 2.
You'll see he hesitates, and he has to pick a line on entry, and he does not do that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right there, you can see kind of he started turning in, and then you see that little hesitation. And at that point, for all these guys, you're already committed to the entry by there. And so again, I'm beyond impressed. I don't know how the 13 hang on to that car. Again, that might be one of those net code give, net code take away. And luckily in this situation, he was able to not luck out of it, but benefit from it. So pit stops are underway, though. Let's jump back live. We will take a look and see, and it's going to be that battle off. And it looks like it will be Mark Murphy holding serve. And I think, again, yeah, Eric Schaus jumping second. So holding steady here. So we haven't got to show off some of our awesome sponsors here, though. And so you know what that means, Andrew. We got to pull up some quick commercial here for 4D Racewear. So we'll be right back, and we'll get things going again here on the One to Go.
4D Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 4D racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 4dracewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim.
All right, so lights are off of the pace car. Mark Murphy's going to continue to lead this race. We saw Joseph Morales stay out for a lap, then hopped on in. And again, beneficiary of that one, though, I'd say, unfortunately, the demise of his teammate, but put that number 20 back on the lead lap. So we'll see how he can work himself back through the field. And then Matt Wagner, unfortunately, having to take the wave around, but again, still in the same sequence as all these guys. But we're right back at this number again, Andrew. We're going to restart this with a 50 to go. We talked about that magical 45 laps or so on the fuel window. Can somebody go full gamble here and say, you know what, I don't have the track position. I'm going to throw the dice and see if I can play some strategy on these guys. So we know these top 4 or so, there's definitely no fuel strategy here. These guys are just, it's full tilt here. So we'll see what they got on this one.
Took the words right out of my mouth. I'm like, it's not going to be the leaders. They're not going to be the ones to save the fuel. So if it's going to be anyone, it's going to be someone battling. I almost want to say Joe Branch might be the best of this because of how little he's using the track and lifting early and taking that bottom line. So Joe Branch is someone I'm going to watch. But, of course, you always point out Craig Forsyth as being a fuel saver. So if anyone's going to save the fuel, it's going to be him. But we have Eric Peterson spinning. That's going to be another caution.
Oh, sliding on the track. I think he's going to get away with it where nobody else gets involved.
Yeah, I just happened to be watching him to watch the rest of the field go, and suddenly he was spinning, and I think he might have I mean, usually you have the new tires, it's tight, but he might have had a little bit of a roll bar and weight jacker setting that kind of when he turned in. He was like,
that's immediately, yeah, that's
there.
Yeah,
I've done that before.
Yeah, that's an old tire, dirty air weight jacker.
He has it saved and touches the apron, and then the car goes, I'm sorry, I'm going up towards the wall now.
Oh, does Hugo get away with that too? I think he does. Man, that's the 36 there and the 57. Ooh, also right there. Is that Frank Irwin, I believe?
That's Frank Irwin Jr., yep.
So really close calls for he and both Hugo Galaz because that was really, really close between both of those cars.
Have you ever seen so much debris come flying out of the safer barrier like that? That's a new one for me. Thanks to iRacing for putting some sort of styrofoam on the track. Now we're gonna have an extra lap of caution to sweep up some some debris there or something like that.
Here we go, mixed bag. Is anybody gonna jump in? So far, none of the leaders want to take. Rick's gonna do it. I like this again. I mean,
I like it too.
If it's expecting more yellows, okay, maybe stay out. But at this point, you know you're going to restart this thing with maybe 40. We're 40 to go now, so 46 to go, I would presume. I think this is a fuel mileageable finish here from making it to the end. I don't think you could where you were at before, but well. Yeah, it's going to be tight now. This is going to throw a wrench into... I mean, and if you're one of these lead drivers like a Mark Murphy, you're burning the most fuel. So this puts you in a tough spot. It's actually also a really, really good break for Matt Wagner. Again, he was off sequence. Now he's got the fresher tires back as well and the fuel. So, yeah, I'll be very intrigued to see how he, Rick, and Jeff get on with this one to see if they're able to make something happen. And kind of a couple quick little freebies as well for that 20 of Edson. Now he's already up to 13th from restarting around 17th with that wave round. So he'll have a chance again to see what he can get back after that 2 laps from the incident earlier.
I think that's a very interesting strategy to come down there and take that service because, yeah, you may be running kind of 11th, 12th, 13th in the race, but if we do go green the whole way and people have to save or do a splash at the end, you're saying, hey, guys, I came in about a lap and a half of green time later, and next thing you know, you may pick up a few spots there.
No, Stouffer in this time around.
Stouffer's coming in.
I wonder if this is planned or if this is something that maybe just like something came up or whatever.
This is a plan. I think this is saying, okay, well, Rick came in to do it. Now, Chris is not someone who wants to fuel save. He wants to race, so... I think he's doing the math as we see it right now, and I think he knows he doesn't have to save from here, and he's going to go full tilt for the rest of the race.
Yeah, it's interesting, though, to do it the second time by. I feel like, if anything, you want to do it the first time by because he gives up a couple of spots. I think, well, 2 it looks like.
He gives up quite a few spots, but this is Christopher we're talking about, the guy that rips the high line around these 1.5 mile ovals. He's not worried about passing people. He thinks he could do it and get back up to the front within a reasonable amount of time to fight.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, and so I was curious about you got. Oh, who's that down on the apron? We got something going on. I think drivers are not themselves lined up correctly. Everybody's trying to get themselves positioned
I think
here.
that was Cosner, no?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He towed. Actually, you're right. So this is actually going to burn a little bit of fuel.
I think he shut the car off by accident. He says in chat here. That's a mistake that I have made once.
I've done it before. Yep.
And I shut that button off on my wheel, and I've never done it again.
Yeah, I mean it's common on
the
stock cars.
Once and you don't do it again.
Yeah, no, exactly right. So I've done it as well, and I'm used to on the stock car side. It's like, yeah, you got a starter, you're good to go. Oh, look at Craig there. I think he was in the wrong fuel map, and he's really checked up that second half of the field there, and that's just going to make things even.
Front wing here, because he hit him. I think Branch's front wing is okay. I don't know how, because he has definitely made contact there, but I think we got away with something there. Ooh, it's very close. I don't think there was actually contact, but it was very close.
I just saw someone catch the wall there out of turn 2 right off the kick there. I thought it was more of like a lime green color, but I'm not sure. So we'll keep an eye, but like I said, now we'll have to kind of keep our eye on this guy here, Christopher, see what he can do. But right now, Mark Murphy, again, he's got his hands full. Eric Schaus has got to his door, or side pod, I guess. Again, too much stock car going on here for me. But right now, at the line, Schaus has it. But again, now, is this a fuel strategy now where Mark Murphy says, yeah, you go ahead, Eric. You lead these laps. I'm going to save off of you here. So now we're in that fight of strategy versus outright pace.
Sorry, I'm watching Matt Wagner still having quite a hard time hanging out back here in P10, and he and Frank Irwin went side by side. I thought that was going to be another wreck here, but they managed to go through it. And yeah, I'm shocked at Matt Wagner's pace and performance tonight. He is usually right up there in the mix, and he's languishing back in the mid-pack here, and he really can't seem to shake himself out of it. So kind of one of those weeks that I'm sure Matt is saying, let's just move on to whatever next race is, because I can't figure it out tonight.
And I'm going to jump back to this restart because I also want to see here. I'm going to do that turn 2 exit because I'm pretty sure I saw somebody catch the wall with some pretty solid force here. So we'll wait till the field gets back. You see Craig Force saying there's that separation we had talked about. But then as we get through the gears here, we'll jump to this turn 2 exit. You'll see the field pop in here in just a second. But I'm pretty sure I saw a decent shot. Oh, it's Christopher.
It's Christopher, yep.
So that's going to hamper any progress he can make that car. And yeah, and as I say that, he's really struggling. He can't really go anywhere. So unfortunately, the strategy costing him track position, probably also costing him that arrow on the start. So he's in a bad spot there in that 13. So now again, though, it's completely shaken up here because, again, Schaus now leading. He's going to be burning the most fuel of everybody, but he is usually a pretty good fuel saver. So what can you do here to maybe try to hold the lead, but also try to work some fuel numbers in this car behind the wheel?
Well, here's the thing. We were talking about Stouffer hitting the wall and maybe having some damage, but if everybody up here is fuel saving and running about 4, 5, 10 slower, it actually may not hurt Stouffer's possibilities, because if he's running full tilt, going whatever speed he wants to, he could run a little bit faster or the same speed as these guys up here and still put himself in a spot. So let's say a caution comes out and everybody jumps down pit lane. He comes down pit lane and fixes the car with a fast repair, unless he's used the fast repair already from that first incident. Yeah, you can see everyone's kind of stacking up here, so you could definitely tell everybody's saving fuel right now. So I think it's a matter of just finding yourself in clean air somewhere. I've already forgotten the question you've asked me because I've just tried to say so many thoughts at one time.
I mean, this is chaotic right now, and
yeah, it got very chaotic very fast.
And I'm sure right now, unfortunately, Stouffer is probably beside himself because he's thinking, man, if I didn't hit that wall, because he's definitely struggling. That car does not have any speed to it anymore. And so I think it's just probably that damage. That car just does not want to rotate from what we saw earlier to what we see now. It's just, yeah, it's not there, unfortunately. He was maybe 2/10 quicker than the leaders. But again, though, if he's potentially out of the picture with the damage, now we go to the next guys as if we can get there, because oh my goodness, this is terrifying. Is who's the next guy that pitted at that 77-78 complex? He's had a bad race tonight, but did he nail the strategy tonight? Is that going to be Matt Wagner? Is he going to pull a rabbit out of his hat? We mentioned the same thing. Jeff Hysong, Rick Sanchez, all those guys pitted 77-78. Are they going to pull some mileage out of this one and make something happen? Because right now, I mean, just look at this. But then again, if you're them, where do you go?
Yeah, I don't have an answer for you. I'm gonna root for Joe Branch right now because he is planting himself on the white line in 1 and 2 the whole time, and he's lifting extra now, especially now that he's in a fuel save. And if he could sneak to the bottom every lap for the rest of this race, I think he might have something here. Of course, the high line's always going to prevail later in the stint, so then I would switch my pick to a Daniel Durazo or even Eric Schaus. But I think Eric is trying to point race right now, so I'm looking more towards someone who does not really have any stake in the game. I think we have another hit on the Pohotsky, I think, hit the wall on the front straightaway there, and he's heading towards the wall again.
Oof,
almost
yeah.
hits it there. But I can't really pick what the best strategy is here. It's just survive, really. I think you want to stay low as best you can because no one's going to really pinch you low if you can figure it out. And then as the race goes on, whoever has the high line figured out is probably going to be the winner. And I think Daniel Durazo has something going on here. So if the high line works, it's Durazo. If the low line works, it's Branch.
Yeah, saying with all that going on, it's Nick Wheeler that's found his way to the point. He said, I'm not going to sit around and let this happen. I'm just going to go. Because at the same time, too, with the way this kind of become a cluster, I mean, it just exponentially increases the chance of contact, bring out a yellow, and then guess what? You're saving fuel under caution. So being up front might be actually the better way to go with all this. So we'll wait and see Craig Forsyth. He's gone right to the back of Mark Murphy now. Eric Schaus dropped back to fourth after leading a couple laps. And then did peek over in the YouTube chat there. Unfortunately, Sam said, "Yep, that's exactly what happened. The ignition car did not refire." And Sam, I say I hate it, man. I say, like I said, Andrew's been there. I've been there. I've heard people like, "Oh yeah, you can do. You just gotta make sure that you like, kind of basically like jump start it with the gear, crank the gear down, let the clutch back out." And I'll never do it again though. I'll just do fuel map 8, clutch it. That's the most I'll gamble with these cars ever again.
Yeah, the pace has picked up now, Gael. Everyone was saving, and now suddenly someone in the lead wants to go, and now everyone's got to go with them. So it's going to be very tough for someone to save the fuel here. I'll be shocked if someone does it, but if Nick Wheeler takes the lead and says, "Guys, I'm going," then everyone's got to kind of stay with them, and that kind of proves what I was saying before about how it's easy to save fuel if you're able to do heavy lifts and do everything, but because the cars push so much here, it's very hard to keep the draft of the cars ahead of you. So I think once we saw the car that took the lead and said, "Nah, I'm not doing this," it just kind of spread everyone back out again because you can see the behavior of the cars change. So Nick Wheeler's going for it. I don't know if anyone can save it at this point.
You know, at this point, I think it's basically, like you said, it's running the, in this case, highest fuel map or the highest number fuel map, which is the leanest fuel map, but at the same time trying to stay in that draft. And so I think these guys are trying to find that balance where it's like, okay, map 4, driving back, okay, let me try map 3, okay, that's working. And then, like you said, if I can kind of lift in a little early, things like that. I go years and years back to a race that Craig Forsyth was leading at Dover, and a very, very hard track to pass that, but he made a really long field run and was able to hold on to the win. And I had asked him about basically how he was able to make that happen. And he told me every time he entered the turn, he was changing the field map. So he would go full rich in the straights, map 5 in the turns. And so he was making that many changes lap after lap at a Dover, which is probably, what, a 15, maybe 20-second lap track at most. So actually, yeah, less, probably 15 at best. So yeah, it blew me away that some of the things that these guys can do with these cars to make those adjustments. But again, though, if Nick is running these guys past the fuel window that they can make, I go back again. I go to Matt Wagner. He's the highest up of those that pitted at 77. Is that extra couple laps, even just mostly under yellow, is that going to be the magic number?
I mean, that'd be kind of the best way that Matt Wagner would back his way into a podium spot in a race for sure. I'm not discounting it at all. I think it's something that we definitely have to watch. And I think Matt is a little bit more fuel saving in the pack a little bit more. And suddenly now he sees himself sitting in the top 5 where he's been absolutely nowhere else in this race.
And he just made a big move there out of turn 2, got a great run, jumped Daniel Durazo and Joe Branch, went 3 wide entering turn 3, got both spots on the inside, and yeah, now right behind Craig Forsyth. And again, a lot of caution laps on that, but again, even map 8, you're still burning some fuel. So right now the best fuel mileage in theory in that tank is in that number 6 car.
Nick Wheeler is definitely kind of championing this pace right now, and we haven't talked much about Nick Wheeler in several races going by, but he's shown that he could take the lead and he could hold the lead. So it's very nice to see someone kind of shine up here in a situation where we didn't really expect someone to shine just kind of out of nowhere here, especially when Mark Murphy had kind of a stranglehold on this race. So it's nice to see Nick Wheeler up here. Hopefully he can have something fall his way, perhaps a caution with about 15 to go or something, where everybody's going to come down and take tires anyway, and he could find himself in a much better position than he ever thought he could be.
You see right there, Eric Schaus trying to put a move there as well on Mark Murphy, because again, this is every little position you can get, every point's going to be crucial for those two as well, because they're thinking, you know what, Nick Wheeler's probably not the fight for the win. It's probably between us two. So now it's that fight between the two of them as, oh man, Schaus gets really tight there, had to roll out of it.
Wow.
And here goes Matt Wagner. He's going to get a run on Craig Forsyth. He's going to enter it in 3 low. He's going to have the dirty air though, but can he clear? Yes. Move Matt now up into that 4th spot in that number 6.
Yeah, I haven't seen the high line in 3 and 4 work yet tonight. I think even in dirty air, it looks like the bottom line is what's working. So that leads me to believe the car is very, very mechanically tight. So it's taking a lot of tools for these guys to get through turn 1 and 2 in particular, and kind of getting to a point where you're almost spinning. So we see that a lot with the cars that have come up towards the wall and smack the wall and go down towards the wall in the back straightaway. So this car is very, very, very tightly built tonight, but it's fine because the guys that kind of know what to expect just find the clean air and go from there.
Matt's been able to get around Eric Schaus as well. He tried to get Mark Murphy there, but he was in that dirty air of Nick Wheeler, had to roll out of it, so he has to regain that momentum back once again. So yeah, so say right now though, probably we were commenting in the YouTube chat there a little earlier, Shane Coker missed him on track, but I say he's able to see his buddy right now leading this race here with 17 to go. And again, fuel's a question mark for all these guys. Again, Nick, though, I think he said, you know what? I don't want to run this like half throttle pace. I'm just going to make you guys have to burn more than you probably want to. So it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. Brandon Briggs rooting Matt on, tell him to get 2 more spots here. And again, I mean, I think if Matt can get around Mark, it'll be a telltale to see what kind of pace is Nick running, because maybe he's same thing. Maybe he's running just fast enough to try to keep that clean air and be difficult. But I'm watching right now. Looks like Craig Forsyth to me, Andrew. I think he might be turning that wick up in that 99 car.
I'm watching Eric Schaus battling with Craig, and it's side by side every lap. They've swapped spots twice now. Eric seems to get a little bit of advantage, and then Joe Branch is sitting there going like, hi, where's my clean air? I just like to save my tires a little more so I can pounce on both of you eventually.
Look at that run out of 3 here for Matt.
Yeah, yep. I was going to say Matt's got to run, but Eric is following him as well. And I think Mark kind of plants himself. Oh, that opens up a lot of the bottom. Look at Joe Branch. Take that bottom line. Everybody pushed off the track right there, and Branch picks up 2 spots, and he could pick up a 3rd one here going to turn 3.
Yeah, Matt just grabbed a 2 for 1 there. He's able to get around the 88 and the 69. he takes the point here as we're now 13 to go. And again, Matt was one of those ones that pitted, and you see right now Nick Wheeler, he is just pretty much dropped anchor. I think he said, you know what, I got to save now. I know I can't make it. I got to do something now to change it. Maybe banking on that yellow, and now it's gone to that point where it's almost desperation fuel save, if you will. So now again, we get back to it here for Matt Wagner, for Mark Murphy, Eric Schaus. Has Matt saved enough where now he can stay aggressive, and Mark and Eric still need to save off of him? There's so many possibilities still here in this race as we got now 12 more.
You know, I know I've raved on about Joe Branch taking that white line in turn 1 and 2, but that's exactly why you do that, because there's going to be one lap where everybody just kind of messes up and finds the same middle line, and then suddenly your bottom line, the shortest way around the track, is the best way to get around. And Joe managed to get by 2 cars on one straightaway there, and that's why you do that. You master that bottom line because nobody's going down there, because everyone's finding the clean air in the middle and the high side of the track. So that's when that pays off. And I think Joe has saved enough tires that he could probably go for something here. But I think fuel is still a concern, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm thinking it's still definitely got to be a concern. And I'm watching Eric right now. He is trying every way he can find to try to get something around Mark Murphy. Like you said, Mark is, I don't know if he's playing defense or not, but that car seems to be going exactly where Eric's wanting to go, and it might be just that's the line that both these guys are wanting to take. I don't know if he's really near driving per se. You see now Eric, he's going to jump down low, but again, unfortunately, right in the wash of that 6 car, going to lose a ton of momentum here, have to regroup again, and so again, still have to fight here, try to get that second spot.
I think everybody's kind of going for that low line right now. So if I was Joe in 4th, I would be going very high and a lot of weight jacker to try and see if I could maybe slide something a little crazy.
Oh, here we go.
Eric is trying it right now on Craig. Ooh, it didn't quite work, but I think if Schaus can hang on, nope, okay, he didn't hang on. I thought if he could hang on down there, he can get Murphy down through 3 and 4.
Yeah, it was very close. I thought if he could make it stick there, that could be an option. But just,
I think it's something that Schaus will try it again, I think.
Yeah, he's trying to find, like I said, any clean air. Now he's going to try to split the middle of them, try to find just that little bitty side. Like you said, Joe, again, right on the bottom. But it is getting tense. We're down to 7 to go. Again, there are no green-white checkers here, so if a caution comes out late, that could be it. So we want this thing to stay clean and green to the end. Watch these guys battle out, fighting for position, fighting for fuel mileage, and we'll see who can come out on top in 6 more laps.
Well, we counted Matt Wagner out. Both of us did. Before that last caution, saying he was mired down in 10th, 11th, 12th place. So I think Matt's battle with everybody through this whole entire race, and it was your call, Gael. I'm usually pretty good at calling this stuff, but you called it that Matt Wagner has figured out some way to save his tires, do his pit stop when he thought he could do it, and he's pounced on the competition here. So I think Schaus has kind of lost all sorts of clean air here. I think Joe might have something. Craig is going to go on the inside, but I think if Joe can get the run going through the front straightaway and I think if Joe takes the high side here, he'll have the 3rd spot.
Yeah, it looks like Joe's just for the moment clearing Craig, but then again, Craig's going to take the inside. Not a lot of people down there.
Tried it.
You saw right there, Craig almost able to get by Eric there as well. And now Matt's playing protect here, like we talked about here, Andrew. He's starting to hold that bottom lane here. To me, that says he's feeling good about fuel. Mark Murphy's definitely seeming more aggressive too, so I think these guys know they're in their number now to make it to the end. However, they're going to run into possibly a little bit of dirty air. Unfortunately, right off the kick of this restart, we talked about Chris Stouffer caught the wall out of two pretty aggressively, and that car just has not handled ever since. So we'll see once they get to him, if they catch that draft in the wrong spot there for Matt Wagner, he could get a huge amount of aero push. I'm looking right now, you see Stouffer, I think he's pretty much rolling the wall here as we got 2 to go. And like you said, it looks like Schaus falling off a little bit. Craig Forsyth able to jump into 3rd. Matt's just got to try to keep this thing clean now for a lap and a half.
Very, very good sportsmanship by Stouffer there. I'm sure he'll stay high here and let everyone go. I find that very interesting that Matt's been able to save enough fuel. Yeah, he pitted a couple laps later, so he was able to kind of go a little longer, but he successfully passed every car going back up to this field. So what a run by Matt Wagner there.
Yeah,
As we
now he's
come
got
on
to
to
play
the final
defense
lap
here.
here.
Yep, he's got to play defense, keep that bottom line, make sure nobody jumps under. We saw that being an issue tonight. But right now, like I said, now he's just got to get through clean here. Look at the big run by Mark Murphy. He's going to try to slingshot on the outside. Not going to get there. Matt Wagner going to get the win here tonight at Texas over Mark Murphy, Craig Forsyth, and Eric Schaus, Joe Branch rounding out our top 5 there. But, man, I mean, talk about going from highs to lows, or lows to highs, I should say. Not the night Matt was looking for. Things didn't feel like they were going his way. But he's able to pull it off there with some really good strategy. And then, like I said, had to drive through the field to get to the top spot.
It's unfortunate how far Nick Wheeler fell back. He fell way out of that, so I think he realized he tried his best to just run the guys dry, and he ran himself dry in the process. So unfortunate for him that he couldn't hang up there. He does hold on to a 6th spot, though.
Just enough fuel there for a burnout, too. Actually, he's got a little more into the tank, too.
Just a smidge.
He might be sputtering now, it looks like. Let's take a peek over here. He's still got some revs there. No, he's just...
I think
that
he'll
may have
run
been
out
it.
any second. Yep,
I think that was it
that's the
right
end of it.
there. So enough for a burnout and a half. But no, a really good job by Matt there. Like I said, I mean, and that's the thing too, is there's sometimes where maybe the race not going your ways where, like I said, you take those gambles that you normally can't make. It's like, I got to keep the track position. Matt tonight said, screw it, let's do it. I think this will give me a big gain here. So Matt's going to win tonight by 0.02 of a second over Mark Murphy. Craig Forsyth brings it home in 3rd. Eric Schaus, Joe Branch, we just mentioned, they're 4th and 5th. And then Daniel Durazo, Nick Wheeler, Hugo Galaz, Rick Sanchez there, and Edson Santos recovers up to 10th. And then Casey Pahutsky, Frank Irwin Jr., Joseph Morales, and Jeff Heisong are lead lap finishers. Unfortunately, we saw the contact right after the restart there for Christopher. Dropped him 1 lap down. And that's a heartbreaker, for Chris too, because he's going to see where Matt finished. And it's like, man, I was on that exact same strategy. So tough way to end up for him, unfortunately, but always a blast having him in the field. Happy to see him tonight. Then you got Sam Cosner, early retirements with himself, Eric Peterson, and then Raphael Eckert. And then, unfortunately, the last retirement being Jim Herrick in that number 40 car at 19th. All right, let's go find some fellas to chat with. And we are going to start with a certain Craig Forsyth. So let's grab him on over here. Got to get everything all lined up so we look pretty. All right, Andrew, I have the number 99 Craig Forsyth finishing in 3rd. Craig, it was a up and down one tonight, I feel like, with the strategies. Can you fuel save? Can you not fuel save? And then there's times where it's like, okay, nope, this is just definitely a map 1 to the end. And it seemed like each caution, it kind of bounced between just full rich and like 1 stop, 2 stops. And then, oh man, this is going to be close. I mean, how much were you stressed in trying to figure out which strategy to make each caution there?
Well, yeah, I was after we had the first caution there, or I guess the after we had the first pit cycle, I think we were like 99 laps, or we were basically 100 laps from the end, and I'm like, I can make this number work. And it was hard work to make it, but then we ended up getting the caution, which nullified that anyway. So I mean, there were so many. Then we got to actually have like some map 1 hard fighting, which that's we were just discussing in our team. Like there were so many different, like it was 3 different races in one race. You had like the how fast can you go race. You had the fuel save race. You had the pack race where everyone was hypermiling at the end. So yeah, no, I mean, Matt made the right call. I knew he was going to go in because he was at the back, and I was like, that's the, if it stays green, that's going to be the right call. And sure enough, he just started chewing his way through the field, and just sort of danced his way by everyone because he never needed to fuel save, and he had the fresh tires.
Yeah, Craig, I'm curious about the car setup tonight, if you could explain a little bit, because it seemed like no matter what, the low line in turn 3 and 4 seemed to be the way to go. But turn 1 and 2, I saw a lot of the low line working and I saw a lot of the high line working. So was it mostly about nothing but clean air here? Talked about it a lot during the broadcast because that's just what I'm used to. But I'm curious just based on how the car was set up, because everybody on the low line in turn 3 and 4 seemed to dominate no matter what. So I wonder if it was just very, very tight and you're using the banking a lot to try and make your way forward. So what can you say about the car setup tonight?
Yeah, well, it was very, very understeery. There was, I mean, we had a lot of weight jacker in it to compensate for it, and even that like 1, 2. I mean, I power to the guys that are super fast consistently on that outside line. I am not. I can turn the odd good lap on that outside line. Otherwise, I make a mess of it. And like I think Schaus passed me, like I was going nowhere. Mark passed me like I was going nowhere on the outside. It's just like those guys that can run that outside line and just hook it up. You can carry so much more speed. I mean, it's the inside line is the shorter line, but you're at such a speed disadvantage going down the straight if the person can hook up that top line properly. But yeah, in the end, it was all you had to have the clean air. The understeer was so strong that you had to have the clean air to get through 1 and 2.
Yeah, it was definitely, you could tell at times. And then there were times Andrew had mentioned too where everybody would chase the middle top, and then it was almost like the open line or the bottom line was the line to be in, because there's a point where Joe Branch got 2-for-1 because everybody just kind of got stacked up in that middle top in the dirty air. And so yeah, like you said, there's times where it was a guessing game. But yeah, there's a couple times we were watching a few drivers, and I mean, I didn't expect to see that kind of rim riding here at Texas.
No, you had to. I mean, running the low line, you had to be extremely careful on your your steering input on corner exit, because it's so easy to loop the car on because you've got such a so much wheel input trying to make that corner. And yeah, you basically, I tell people, it's like you're basically point at the wall. Like if you point your car at the outside wall, that's how you don't spin. But you also need not to not run into the guy who's rim riding the outside line, because he's gonna be on your outside. So there's this, you have to figure out, am I going to need to feather the throttle to not, steamroll into the side of the guy on the outside. That was a good race. It turned into a really good race. And I gotta say, good on Matt for winning the race. That's a long time coming for him.
How many times do you steer to the outside wall and hope that no cars on the outside wall that you're going to run into, though? So
Oh, that's the
that's another
worst.
thing you have to worry about.
Yeah, when you suddenly get that car outside and you were not ready for that, and you suddenly have to add the steering input in, lift off the gas, and hope like hell they go by. Yeah.
It was a great job tonight, Craig, able to get that podium tonight. So yeah, I mean, great job. Like I said, it was a lot to be working through. It sounds like with the high track temperature, tough setup, with just the way the track and everything was tonight. So great job getting that podium. And as always, definitely want to give you that floor for any thanks and shout outs for that spot tonight.
No, I got to thank Jim and everyone at 4D Racewear. I mean, Chris and Joe were in the chat tonight. Jim didn't have a good result tonight, but me and Joe did, and Chris had side pod damage, so he was struggling there towards the end. And then no, I mean everyone here at Area 51, because yeah, we had. And Edson was on the pole. We had a whole good field of good driving tonight. I had an enjoyable time tonight.
That was a blast to watch, Craig. So great job tonight, man. Look forward to seeing you for the rest of the way. Not too far to go, crazily enough, but go enjoy this one and look forward to seeing you up on track again here soon, sir.
You betcha, Kyle. You betcha, Andrew. Stay safe.
Yep, take care.
All right, we're going to jump another spot forward in that finishing position, and that is going to be this man right here, Mark Murphy. Once we can get everything lined up, there's that number 69 car. Grab Mark Murphy in here tonight. Starts second, finishes second, and it probably felt like anything but just a start second, finish second race, because you were in the thick of it in multiple spots. And yeah, I mean, take us through the race, because there were some tough battles you had to try to fight off, and then some terrifying moments I'm sure you had behind the wheel.
Yeah, I mean, it was nothing if it wasn't eventful, gang. We were up there, but that last run just, I don't think I've watched the fuel gauge so much in my life. As it turned out, I'm in the boat with Forsyth. We saved too much. Matty Wags made the right call, came down, got him some gas, and that was the difference. But we all had the same opportunity, and you don't know. I mean, you've lost in that way coming down, and there's 14 cautions until the end, and you don't get a chance to pass anybody. So it was tough, that last run, because I knew we had the speed to go by and lead it, and then the other, the devil, the angel on your shoulders, the devil saying go stand on it, and the angel saying you got to save 2.5 gallons of gas to make it to the end. And and at the end of the day, we probably could have turned it up a couple of laps earlier, but happy to finish second, finish ahead of Schaus. Nick's not here. Um, that's the name of the game, and we're we continue to do what we set out to accomplish. So no complaints with the racing. It was tremendous. Anytime you've got guys standing on the brakes like that, or not going full out and jockeying for position, and guys on different agendas, it can get hairy. But I thought everybody did a really good job.
Yeah, Mark. I mean, I think we've chatted a few times about what your stance is on this championship here. You're just trying to collect as many podiums as you can. So is that your aura going forward? Do you feel like you just want to finish races and not get into too many battles? Because it seemed like that was kind of your stance at the start of the race, but then you got a little racy, especially going down the back straightaway, trying to block and make sure no one got by you. So, what do you think that you've accomplished your goal for tonight and you can go forward,
Yeah.
being a little more racy?
Well, I mean, I don't think it's time to get racy yet. You still got Pocono. It's a super speedway, and that's a tough track. You've got Phoenix out there. It's a short road course. It's a short oval where it's going to be dictated by track position. You got Kentucky, which is a lot like this, and then you go to Auto Club, which is a wild card. So I would rather have the position that I'm in as opposed to being the chaser for sure. I mean, Matt's got the points up, and we're 65 ahead. So you've got one mulligan built in, but you don't want to have to use it. You want to bring the car home in one piece, and Matt and Eric have to be Matt, Eric, and Nick have to be extremely aggressive, and I can really just kind of bring the car home in one piece. Tonight wasn't that, though. I really wanted to win this one. I love Texas and Kentucky both. They're this and Kentucky are my two favorite tracks, and I really wanted to win this one, and I felt like we had the car to do it. I learned my lesson. I can't remember if you were in that race or not, but um, you know, our cars were running away with the Indy Elite race here, and I got I left the bottom open just enough for Stover to throw it in there, and we got together, and so I kind of learned from that,
I
and
did mention that to the
yeah,
broadcast.
we were going to run, we were going to have IR 1, 2, 3 if that doesn't happen, and I learned my lesson. I, I made sure that I didn't give up. I made sure I didn't leave the bottom open for that to happen, and um, it worked out this time. But just you do what you got to do. I mean, Matty had more fuel, and he was able to go up through there, and he passed us, and it was just saving gas. I got to thank Nick Wheeler. Wheels, if you're watching, man, thanks for blowing by us and turning up the pace and keeping everybody honest. That played into my favor because Schaus and I were saving like madmen up there, and then he came along and turned up the juice and said he was going to go for it, and that kind of helped too because it everybody was running such a slow pace that we were all saving, and he went up there and went for it, and it kind of kept you honest, and you had to understand you had to really work it saving it once he got up there. So thanks to him, man. And kudos to him for getting up there and lead some laps. I mean, he's a good shoe. He deserves to be up there. So good for him. What did he run? Fifth, sixth, fifth, fourth, fifth,
Yeah,
sixth, something like that.
about fifth. He held fifth the last lap there, going to the checker flag.
Yeah, and that's on me too. I mean, I thought I had a race here in Vor where in the Velocity Online series where It came down to me and Julian Altena at the line like that, and I thought I could load it up and get by Wagner coming to the line. The problem was I was too close to him coming off a two, and I had to check up. If I'd have let him have a little bit more of a gap, I think I could have accomplished that. But that's just kind of how the chips fell, and being on light, being not having it full rich, he couldn't get enough of a run. So kudos to Matty too, man. He deserves a win every once in a while.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun interview to have with him here in just a moment. But before we get to him, though, you've got awesome sponsors and family and associates on that car. Want to make sure you give them some love as well. So, Mark, any thanks or shouts for that runner-up this evening, sir?
Yeah, I mean everybody at Indy Alliance Racing. Kudos to all them and everything they do. Got to thank Blackmagic Studios for their support in the paint. P1 Broadcasting, of course. We've got Admin Box on the front wing on the oval side, and they're awesome people too. Everybody at Area 51 does such an incredible job. They're this is a fun league, and I enjoy running it. And we'll just keep trying to go fast and lead laps and run up front and have fun and let this baby take care of itself. Like I said, I'd rather be in this spot than know that I have to kind of push it. It's a lot more comfortable for sure.
Great job tonight, man. Go enjoy this one as well. And then, I'll say keep doing what you're doing. It's been working well all season long. No reason to change it. So look forward to seeing you go after that championship, man.
Yeah. I got to ask Andrew, though, man, if I could get some wood paneling on this car, I think it'd go any faster.
Oh, man.
See, this guy had a heck of a run at Pocono last night. I got to call it. So Andrew and I got reversed tonight. So kudos to you last night for your
I called it. I knew we'd have an opposite interview session going on here. So very good.
Yeah. Good deal. Well, you boys go talk to Matty. I'm sure he's excited. So y'all have a good night. Keep going fast and have fun, boys.
Thanks, man. Congrats again, Mark.
Yes, sir.
All right, that leaves us this one fellow left to chat with, and that is going to be this number 6 of Matt Wagner. Made me update his paint scheme, and it looks like it may have been a good call because it's a winning paint scheme here tonight at Texas. And Andrew, I feel like I have a good chance of stepping on your toes on questions, so I kind of I'm gonna put you on the spot again. I'm gonna let you kick it off here with this fella.
I just want to know, what was your thought there as you were running in P10 and then suddenly you find yourself running up front? Let's hear what you had going on here and how you got up front.
Well, it was all about the having enough fuel, enough, as Mark would say, juice to get to the end. I was able to run for which from 20 to go on, and then finally when it was a pain in the butt to get past Mark, because he made, it's not easy past Mark. It's not easy at all. He finally gave me the room. I said, when I finally passed, I think it was Wheeler up front, and when I got in that clean air, I got to my fuel calculation. I was one lap. I had to save one lap of fuel. That's all I had to do. And then after that,
how hard was it necessarily to get from where you were in P10 up front? Because you had to pass a lot of cars, I imagine.
Oh, that was not easy. But those cars weren't really running fuel rich. They were really, really slow, and they were on fuel conversation mode, and I was running fuel rich trying to pass the guys. It was actually kind of biding my time. Lots of weight jacket, lots of patience. Trying to run the bottom. I tried the top a few times to pass a couple of guys. It was working every once in a while, but I was afraid I would burn that right front.
That's what I was curious. Like how much were you just trying to find the clean air, especially 1 and 2, to make those runs on the outside?
Yep. That top lane, if you run it just right, you're going to get a nice run coming down the back, and you have to nail it just right. And I did nick the wall just a little bit at one time. I think you guys saw that. But other than that, it was pretty tough. It was actually pretty easy to top from that point on. And yeah, I'm just surprised I won.
Us too. No. Joking, of course. That said, though, I mean, we did comment at one point where it didn't seem like the night was going the way you wanted to. The qualifying obviously wasn't quite where you wanted to be, but then also just you weren't able to really work your way through the field like we're used to seeing. At one point, we did even comments is like Matt's not in his typical like top 5-ish or so spot. Just it seemed like there was something that just wasn't clicking
it was
for
terrible.
you.
Let's not talk about my qualifying.
So I mean, was this just one of those ones where it's like, okay, hey, I'm just gonna kind of like see how the race unfolds, or was it just trying to find the balance until you got that opportunity to really go after it there at the end?
No, so when I had a really piss poor qualifying effort, let's kind of hang out in the back and see what plays out. Let's do a little tire saving, a little bit of fuel saving. Let's see how the race, plays out. And
well, you got to run. You got to run with a lot of guys that you don't normally race with, so I'm sure you got a nice little taste of what those guys in the back are like. Too.
Yeah, I know. I don't like being back there. Just to be honest with you, but I learned a lot being back there. Dirty air sucks. It really does here. Patience is number one here in Texas. 100%. You have to stay full committed. Pretty much, if you're going to do a full tire save, I say run the bottom of the track. And just got to be patient. You can't overcook that right front.
Well, so it worked out tonight, Matt. You're able to get everything together. Like I said, it was obviously a hard fought one to first get there, and then the strategy and just then having to stay committed to that as well. Because obviously it's easy to get antsy and just be like, I got to get up front now, and then run yourself out of fuel even too. So I said I would say maybe not the flag wins that are fun to have too, but a really, really good job tonight, man. Jumping 12 spots to get the win this evening. So always got to give you the floor, man. So again, I know you got a lot of hats on right now. So thanks and shouts for that win this evening, sir.
I got to thank Mark Murphy for being my teammate, a really good friend of mine, and he's taught me a lot, and just kind of learning some stuff here on the back end, and being patient, and that's just number one key. I got to thank you guys in the broadcast. You guys are magnificent. Andrew, I love your commentary, man. I love listening to you. You do a great job up here in the booth. Gael, smooth as usual. I've been peeking in the Sundays. I've been listening to you guys, and I had your co-commentator and congratulate me on the win. Special thanks to him, by the way. I got to thank 40 Racewear. I love them guys. And my co-sidekick, Craig Forsythe.
Yeah, about to say, the Matt Wagner fan club CEO, Brandon Briggs, was definitely rooting you on tonight, man. So, no, great job, man. Go enjoy this one. And then, look forward to see you. Say still obviously some races left to go. See if you can make a late charge for that championship. There's still ways to go, but let's say you never know how, if you can get hot at the right time, you can get a lot of points. So go enjoy this one and then get back to work.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Matt. All right, Andrew, that is our race winner in that number 6 machine. And like I said, I mean, mid-race or so, probably not us expecting that outcome, but again, just you gotta stay after it, you gotta persevere. You don't know what opportunities could arise for you with caution timings or attrition or anything like that. And I mean, and like those guys said, there's times where it's like, hey, if you're mid-pack or maybe somewhere where you're like, it's worth a gamble. There's times where you do that, but then you got to put it all together, and he was able to do both of those this evening.
I can't believe that Matt Wagner made his way up towards the front, and he got that lead right at the right time. And everyone was kind of fuel saving right around him, and next thing you know, he finds himself in the lead. and he can't be passed to the lead after that. So kind of followed the same kind of trend as those that were leading before him, and I think that's what it took to win tonight.
Yeah, it definitely was not an easy one by any means, and I mean that's what it is here. I mean, again, there's some really really good open wheel drivers here, and it makes it very difficult to get these wins over here. So yeah, so that's going to do it for us tonight. We are back on track here on Thursday. We're going to be back at the Daytona Ovals on Thursday and Sunday nights, starting off Thursday with Boomer on the trucks and then myself on the Gen 4 Cup car. And, of course, Brandon Briggs is going to be joining us in both of those, so always been fun having him with those as well. But, Andrew, man, as always, it's so much fun doing these with you. It's a pleasure. And like I said, and I'd say Mark and I both were enjoying watching you on last night there at Pocono, so I'll keep trying to spy on you, see how the racing's going too. That way we can, at least I know you're not getting rusty behind the wheel, so I'm excited for that too.
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting rusty behind the wheel. It definitely turns out that every once in a while I can still wheel these things. So as much as I miss being on track with these guys, it's definitely a lot more fun commentating, and I really like it a lot. So thanks for having me up here.
It's always a pleasure, man. So everybody that watches and supports us, I said we saw Belva, Brandon, Shane, Sam. Love having you guys on here. Sam, again, hate the bad luck, but I'll say again, we've all learned from it. We'll get there. So get back out here next time, and I'll say we'll see you up front, hopefully. So until then, as always, take care, stay safe, and have a good night, everyone.